Today's episode is how not to ask for what you want. I was at a founders event in San Francisco yesterday, and I was really struck by what can happen when you pitch in a way that is not ideal. So a lot of times what I find is many women are afraid to ask, or they hold back in asking for what they want. And what was interesting is that I went to this event and you had to either put on a founder's badge or an investor's badge. And right now I am an aspiring investor. So I thought, well, I'll put that up. I'm an investor and see what happens. And it certainly was fascinating about how people responded to that badge. Because of course, if you're a founder, you want money and all of that. Everybody was quite gracious and kind. But I will say there was one woman who really took me aback and it inspired this episode. So I was about to leave and she came up to me with a very strong presence. She put her hand out, shook my hand and said, I'm Karen, or not, I'm Karen. She said, hi, Karen, I'm so-and-so. And then she says, I see you've got the black badge. And she just launched in with her pitch. Here's my company. And I thought, wow, this is exactly what not to do. And this is why I thought, well, I want to do an episode that has a few tips on how not to ask, because we have to be number one. I'm going to give you 5 tips today, by the way. Number one is to be discerning. Know your audience, know the situation, and don't be pushy. This may sound like an obvious one to many people listening to this, but to the person that might be tempted to just launch in, oh, I see money in front of me, or I see somebody who can give me what I want, immediately going straight to our pitch is not going to serve us. So instead, notice who is your audience. So let's break down what could have been different about that situation. Instead of launching into her pitch, she could have stopped and said, what type investing do you do? She could have also said, are you open to hearing about my company, about my product, about my service? And that would have completely changed the course. Sometimes we need to ask for permission in a situation such as that. Most of the time I say don't ask for permission, but in a situation like this, you definitely want to make sure that you are having a receptive audience member. I felt attacked and cornered, honestly. And I finally just said, well, LinkedIn would be a great place to connect with me. You have my name here. And that was that. So she didn't get what she wanted. And at minimum, you want to have somebody lean in and be intrigued and want to know more. So remember the power of asking questions and being discerning about the situation at hand, for sure. So the next one is don't bury the ask. Too often what happens is people give a lot of context before making an ask, whatever that might look like. So just say it. Say it first. Don't give a whole precursor so then the people are wondering, what the heck is she going to ask for? So it might be something as similar as, I'd like to ask for your support. Are you open to hearing that? Or I'd love to be a speaker at your upcoming conference. Are you looking for speakers like me? Or perhaps it's, I'd like to discuss a promotion. Are you open to that? You might want to do a lead in with that, at least a little, to say something like, I know we're looking to expand the marketing department and I would love to help with that. And then you jump in with one of those things that I imagine doing would be helping with that expansion such that I could get a promotion along with that so that I could help the company, da, da, da. You always want, as best as you can, to partner your ask with a benefit to the audience. What are they going to get, or why should they care? So context can come later. So it's a little bit, there's some, again, like we said with step 1, it's about discernment. It's very similar. So knowing when to be direct versus when to have a bunch of detail. And I would say there's a happy medium. So you don't want to bury your ask, but you also want to, and not give so much context that people are lost going, where is this conversation going? What does this person want? The next one is number 3 is don't negotiate against yourself. Let's just say you ask for a certain amount of money and then you say right away, but I'm flexible. I've made this mistake for sure, where I put the money amount out there and then immediately, but I'm happy to work with your budget. So be careful about jumping straight into that. And I know there was a time a few years ago where I was being considered to coach the CFO, and I was in conversations with the HR partner. And I remember when she and I were talking about it and I gave her my number, there was a long dramatic pause. And as we all have been taught, saying, okay, just be silent, just be silent. But it got quite long. So I said, what did I say right after that? I said, is that a deal breaker? And then she said, oh, no, excuse me. I said, how does that land with you? And I love that question, by the way. You've probably heard me say it if you've listened to me before. It's such a beautiful question. And she immediately went, well, it's definitely higher than the other 2 coaches we've been looking at. And this is the time where I don't know what possessed me to say this. I had not planned to say it, but I said, I recognize I'm higher than most, and said it with very strong conviction. And that's when I said, is that a deal breaker? And she said, oh, absolutely not. I believe in the right fit. I'd like you to still meet the CFO and we'll go from there. So that is one to make sure to not, or another thing, you're in addition to, oh, but I'm flexible. The other one is be careful about saying things like, I know that's probably too much. You don't want to discount yourself before anyone else has. So state your number and then let them respond. And do your best to state an exact number rather than a range, because that's more decisive for sure. Okay, next one is don't confuse hints with requests, because people aren't mind readers. I call this, well, this is actually something called the rescue wish in psychology, where we throw out a rescue wish, such as, I've been really overwhelmed lately, when what we really want to say is, I need help on this project. So be careful about doing that rescue wish, because first of all, not everybody is going to rescue you and honor what you're saying passively that you need. And then you might get resentful. Instead, just ask, what do you want? Help with the project, support on such and such. And then the more specific you can be, the better. So be direct with what you need. So you're not just saying, oh, I can't believe this. It's funny. I've had to work on this a lot in my marriage. So I remember, there's countless examples I could give you, but I will never forget sitting in the car once, being really frustrated that my husband had the window down because it was cold. And I said something like, are you planning to keep that window down this whole drive? He's really good. And he turned to me and he said, what do you want to ask me? What do you want to ask? So it's so funny how these things are so simple, yet sometimes we've been culturally conditioned, a lot of us, to be passive because we always put other people's needs before our own. But then the problem is we're saying something out loud and then it becomes some type of rescue wish or complaint, rather than simply saying, would you close your window, or would you mind rolling your window up a little bit? I mean, it is so obvious, but again, these things are not always easy. I'm not saying they're easy. I've also been a work in progress on a lot of these. All right. So let's see here. That was, number 7. No, excuse me, number 4. Number 5 is don't let fear choose your words. Fear sounds like one of these statements. I was wondering if maybe, or whenever you have time, or if it's not too much trouble. Those all are passive. They're not direct. So we want to make sure that We let clarity choose our words. So, for example, I'd appreciate your decision by Friday. Does that work for you? I'm available Tuesday or Thursday. Which one is better for you? Or I'd like to move forward. How about you? Clear is kind. If we go back to Brene Brown's classic quote, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. So be mindful of these things. Let us review. So number 1 is be discerning. Don't be pushy. Number 2 is avoid too much context or don't bury the ask. And then number 3 is don't negotiate against yourself. 4, don't confuse hints with requests. And 5, don't let fear choose your words. All of this relates to making sure that you are as direct as possible. And sometimes I know it can feel a little bit awkward to make an ask. I mean, I think about countless times. I'm specifically thinking now about a board of directors where I was coaching the entire team to be better at asking for fundraising or asking for money with their nonprofit. And one of the guys said, Karen, I'm uncomfortable just asking you to pass the pen that's in front of you because I don't want to bother you. I don't want to inconvenience you. We have to get over the fact that we are worried that we're going to bother people because the cost of that is quite high. If we are quiet and we hold back and we don't ask for things, then we're going to end up feeling resentful or just as bad, live a small life where we are missing out on opportunities that we could have otherwise gotten if only we had asked. So remember, make your ask, be clear, and be direct. As my mom used to say, be honest, direct, and kind. I think those are great words to live by. As a reminder, if you enjoyed this episode and enjoy the podcast, please write a review. It would be great help to me and help more people find the podcast. And if you know anybody, I am actually opening up 3 spots for VIP intensives with me in August. And what that looks like is a half day where we help you nail your keynote, your next presentation, your high stakes meeting, a board presentation, a town hall, could be any and all of the above. So looking forward to reconnecting at some point. And thanks so much for listening. If you loved today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps other people find the podcast faster, and it certainly helps me. Remember, you too can stand out with unshakable confidence.